I have to start out this video by showing you my new shirt that I got. Oh, isn't it awesome? Yes! I got it at CatCon last weekend. Awesome! Alright, so anyways, hi guys, thanks for stopping by. Today we are talking the Zoya Fall 2017 Sophisticates collection. I know a ton of people have already been doing some live swatches of these polishes and they look beautiful. I did purchase this collection when Zoya was doing the promo a couple weeks ago. They were offering, I think the exact promo was like buy one set, get the other set free, something like that. So I ended up getting both sets for about $60, which is amazing. I think that works out to like $5 a polish or something. So I went ahead and purchased the whole collection. So today I'm going to be giving you kind of some comparisons of items in my collection. So if you are looking at these polishes and thinking, you know, you've looked at the swatches and you're kind of like, oh, I really want that, but I don't know, you know, how, you know, it looks like it's going to perform well on the nail. It looks beautiful, but is it something that I already have in my collection? Is it something I really need? And so what I am here to do is I'm going to pull, I'm going to show you the polishes obviously, and then I'm going to pull some comparison polishes out of my personal collection to show you exactly, you know, how these colors look compared to other colors. So that way you get a better idea of, you know, is this something, you know, am I showing you something that you already have in your collection? Is this something that's close to a color you already have in your collection? Is this something I really need once I've seen it against another polish? So that's what I'm here to do. I've got comparisons for all of the polishes, some a little bit more closer than others, but I thought, you know, hopefully this would be helpful for some folks. That's what I'm always wondering when I'm looking at, you know, when I'm looking at other videos, is like, I love seeing swatches. I love to see how they perform. But ultimately, you know, I have a large collection of polish, but my ultimate goal is not to have the same color 3 times in my collection. So seeing videos like this where somebody can show me a polish that is relatively close to the actual polish helps me kind of, you know, determine whether or not it's something I want to purchase and, you know, and have in my collection. So that's what we're doing today. I hope this is going to be helpful for you. Again, my collection is somewhat large, but I tend to have not very many mainstream polishes. I think Zoya is the main mainstream polish that I have in my collection. The rest are kind of indies. So please, if you have a polish that you want me to compare to that you think I might have in my collection, I will be happy to do that. Just leave a comment in the you know, in the section below, and if I do have it, I will let you know, and maybe I can, you know, do a video of a bunch of polishes that people have asked for me to swatch. So that's what we're doing today, and let's go ahead and get started. Okay, I'm gonna try and do these in somewhat color order, working from like light to dark. So the first polish we're gonna be working with is Zoya's McKenna. I'm not gonna say Zoya because obviously these are all Zoyas, but this is McKenna. And McKenna is gonna be an almond nude with a pearl finish. I will start this video by saying I've only worn one of these polishes as of yet, so I cannot speak to the formula, you know, other than, you know, I can't speak to anything other than what's in the bottle at the moment. If you need something like that, I would recommend watching one of the live swatches. So yeah, anywho. So yeah, this is going to be a soft almond with a pearl finish. The pearl is pretty, you can see it in the bottle. It's a pretty significant pearl finish. It's really beautiful. The color I'm going to compare for you is Butter London Yummy Mummy. And these colors are pretty similar. Yummy Mummy does have a similar shimmer going through it, but it's very, very faint. Not something that you can see in the bottle, nor, well, you can see it slightly in the bottle, but you can't really see it on the nail once it's on there. So you can see that Yummy Mummy is quite darker, but again, those shimmers are fairly similar, so I think these are kind of they're kind of along the same lines, but this is going to be a little bit lighter, and I think this is also slightly warmer toned than Yummy Mummy. So if you are, you know, a cooler skinned girl, I would suggest, yeah, Yummy Mummy is one of my favorite nude polishes of all time. So if you don't have a nude that you're in love with, I recommend this. I think it's a good neutral. I'd say it leans slightly cooler than McKenna, but this is a fairly neutral color. I think this looks beautiful on a lot of skin tones, but if you're on the hunt, I would probably recommend this if you don't already have it, but just for comparison purposes, that is it up against Zoya's McKenna. All right, and then our next polish is the one polish that I have actually worn in this collection, and I wore this last weekend. This is Beth. And Zoya describes this as a like a dusty rose type color, and I don't really get that in the bottle, nor did I really see that on the nail. To me, it was more of like a smokier kind of purpley taupe color, and it's got a really pretty metallic finish. I posted this on my Instagram. The polish is really pretty. I enjoyed wearing it. I don't know if it was because it's fall and I'm not, you know, it's not quite fall. I thought I was going to be, you know, I thought I was ready to wear fall colors. And then I put this on last weekend and I wasn't super thrilled with it. I mean, it was nice. And it's also possible because I wore it for 4 days, and 4 days is way too long for me to have nail polish on. I start to get irritated after like day 2. So it could have been that. So maybe we'll chalk that up to, you know, just having it on for too long, but I wasn't super thrilled with this polish. It just didn't have any it just didn't have like a wow factor. It was nice. It was a pretty nude, type color and that, you know, the metallic finish was really nice, but it's just not something that I was super excited about. As I mentioned in my Instagram, I thought this color was somewhat similar, which is Zoya's Pasha, but once I got them together, I realized they're not super close. They have a similar finish, which is what I was thinking, but the colors are obviously not. They're somewhat close, but not enough to where, you know, they're dupes by any means. So, Pasha is obviously a little warmer, a little bit more brown toned, whereas Beth has, you know, a little bit more purple, in it. So obviously not dupes, but I think that that metallic finish is really close. So again, maybe for skin tone purposes, if you like colors that are a little warmer, I might suggest Pasha. I really do love Pasha. I think it's a pretty color. That metallic finish that's in there really makes it glow off the nails. But Beth was also pretty, just maybe because I'm more of a, it's a little bit more cooler tone, so maybe that's why I didn't care for it as much. So maybe if you have a little bit of a cooler tone, this might be something you might love. So again, that's Beth and Pasha. So all right, next up is Zoya's, I said I wasn't gonna say Zoya. This is Presley. And they describe this as a smoky mauve, I want to say. Yeah, I think they called this a mauve. And yeah, I would agree that's pretty close. The item in my collection that I had that was somewhat similar was Zoya's, oh my god, is Brigitte. And Brigitte obviously is a lot warmer. It's got a little bit more red in it. So not dupes by any means, but for comparison purposes, there you go. I have yet to try this, but this looks really, really pretty. And yeah, so that again, that's Presley and Brigitte. All right, so next up is 2 colors in this collection that are super similar. This collection was slightly kind of rosy mauve heavy. There's a couple polishes in here that are super close. And so that is where we are at the moment. So this is Hera. And I feel like Zoya called this a plum color on their website. So I would not agree with that description. Obviously this is a lot more red than a plum. I think this is kind of, I'm not super good with color descriptions, but it's definitely not a plum. And it's slightly more redder than a mauve in my opinion. So I don't know off the top of my head exactly what color. It's somewhere in between there. So maybe like a magenta, is that? Yeah, so anyway, so that is Hera. And then the other color that is in this collection that is pretty darn close to it is Padma. And I feel like the color is a little bit distorted on the camera. I feel like Padma is not as dark as it's showing up on the camera. But let's see, I think Zoya called this one, is this the Vermillion one that they called it? I'm not 100% sure what the color Vermillion is, to be honest. So I I think they called it a red cream. So that's obviously, looking in the camera, this does look a lot more red than Hera does. But yeah, so I feel like it does have a little bit of that rosiness that is, you know, kind of similar to Hera. The only thing I have, these aren't really colors that I, you know, have a whole lot in my collection. So shockingly, they didn't really compare to anything I had in my collection super closely. The only thing I could find that kind of was close, and it's not really a dupe by any means, but I'm gonna put these next to Zoya's Reagan, and that's in the center. So you can see Reagan is a little bit brighter, not as rosy. It's got a little bit of like a pinky kind of fuchsia, whereas the other ones are a little bit more subdued, a little bit more red, here in Padma, and maybe a little bit more like mauviness over here in Hera. So not super close, but I thought I would at least give you something from my collection to compare to, because, you know, trying to compare two colors that are in a collection is probably not super helpful. I did have some guys that were kind of close, but not enough to where I feel like I could compare these. So again, like I said earlier, if you have, you know, colors in your collection you think might be close to these guys, let me know and I'll be happy to compare those for you as well. So again, that is Hera, and then this is Padma. All right. And then moving right along, I think this might have been the smoky plum color that they were talking about, but we are gonna move on. This is Joni, and Joni looks so amazing. I think this might be the smoky kind of dusty purple that I kind of glanced over Zoya's descriptions before I started, so I think this might have been the dusty purple rather than Presley. I think they called one smoky and the other one dusty, so I don't know if that really is a difference or if they just wanted to use two different adjectives, but okay, thanks Kat. But I think this might be the dusty one, whereas I think maybe Presley was the smoky one. I don't know, whatever, we're gonna move on. So anywho, this is Joni. Nice, beautiful. I would definitely call this one a plum, but yeah, it's got a little bit more, it's a little bit more subdued, a little bit dustier. So for comparison, this one was pretty close, although again, the camera is kind of distorting it slightly. I don't think this one is as dark. This is Zoya's Marnie. Marnie came out like 2 or 3 years ago, I want to say, and this is right when Pantone was doing that Marsala color of the year, so this is pretty close to that kind of Marsala wine color. It's a good in-between of like, it's like a raisin, like a purpley brown, and so compare up against each other, you can obviously see Marnie is a lot darker, although again, keep in mind that I think the camera's distorting this slightly. These are kind of close. So yeah, Marnie is a little bit darker, has a little bit more brown in it, and Joni is a little bit lighter, and it's got a lot more purple in it. So again, I think these are both really pretty, definitely not comparable, so if you wanted to have both, I think you could. This again might be a skin tone thing, or no, I feel like these would look good on both, but I think it's just if you're wanting something a little bit lighter as opposed to something a little bit more more sexy or more fall appropriate, I feel like this could be a good like all around, this could be like a good all around color. So again, that's Joni. Okay, and then another one kind of along the same lines, and I feel like I might compare these with that. Okay, so this is Mona. And Mona I've seen swatches of, and I cannot wait to wear this. This looks so like deep and sexy. This is like, it's kind of like Marnie, except like a little bit more like vampy. Oh God, it looks so pretty. Yeah, so I can't remember how Zoya described this, I apologize, but this has a lot more like red in it, so definitely not as raisiny as Marnie is, but they've got similar tones to them, but definitely a lot more red over here in Mona. And then just in case you want to see the difference, this is Joni again up against Mona, obviously not even close. The only item in my collection that I had that was close to Mona was, this is a color from Pacifica, and this is called Bianca and Focus, and it's kind of along the same lines, but it's not as dark as Mona. It's got a little bit more it doesn't have as much red in it, I think, as Mona does, but you know, comparing this to Marnie again, these obviously have a little bit more red in them than Marnie does. So again, that was probably the closest thing I had in my collection, and unless you want something a little slightly darker, I would go with Mona. So Mona. Okay, and then our final color in this, like, you know, reddish, rosy, mauve-y adventure that we've been on for the last few minutes. This is Yvonne. And Yvonne might be that vermilion red. Oh, I feel like all of these had like such similar color, you know, descriptions that I'm just getting them all confused. So I apologize. Hopefully these, you know, hopefully the camera is giving you kind of a good, I think for the most part, the colors have been pretty accurate on the camera. So Yvonne, obviously kind of along the same lines as Mona, except slightly more red, not as much brown in it as I would say as Mona does. So again, another vampy, really sexy fall color. And then in my collection, the closest thing I had was Vanessa. And Vanessa, obviously a little bit more red. I feel like these are a lot closer. Yeah, I feel like the camera's catching that, I think. So Vanessa's got a little, slightly more red. These are definitely really, really close, so I don't think these are ones you need to have. I wouldn't recommend having both of these. I think they're way too close. But if you're looking, you know, for similar colors, I would say this has a little bit more red in it. So if you've got a little bit more warmer tones, this might be more suitable. Whereas Yvonne, I say, has like a little bit more purple, so it might be more, you know, might be more suitable for someone with like a cooler complexion. But yeah, definitely colors that I don't think you need to have both of. So again, that was Joni. Or no, Yvonne, I'm sorry, that was Yvonne. Too many colors. Okay, so, and then the one kind of outlier in this collection that I feel like doesn't really, I mean, I feel like it's fall appropriate, but it just doesn't really go with the rest of the colors is Gal. And this is an interesting kind of metallic. It almost has like it almost feels kind of duochromy. It's a greenish gold, and it's got this really pretty, like, I think they called it peridot shimmers in there. So this is a really interesting color. Obviously it's really unique, so it's not something I can dupe in my collection, but the closest thing I could give to you if you wanted to compare it is Zoya's Aggie. And Aggie came out in a fall collection probably like a year or two ago, probably 2 years ago. So again, not comparable. They did definitely have that same metallic finish, but this obviously leans a little bit more, you know, bronzy gold, whereas this one's looking a little bit more greenish gold. So yeah, not something I think anyone's going to really be able to compare to. So that's Gal. And then getting into the darker fall shades that I'm super excited about. This is Tabitha. And Tabitha is a beautiful kind of hunter green, but it's got a pearl finish. And the pearl finish is so slight that you can barely see it in the bottle. So I don't know how that's going to translate to the nail. I feel like from the live swatches that I remember watching, I don't remember the pearl finish being super apparent, but so there's that. I don't have anything with a similar finish, but for color comparison, this is Zoya's Hunter. And Zoya's Hunter, definitely not as dark. It's got a little bit more, excuse me, it's got a little bit, you know, more green in it. This is a little bit of a cooler. I feel like Hunter's a little bit warm, whereas I feel like this is a little cooler. So again, that is Tabitha and then Hunter. And then, shockingly, this color I could not dupe in my collection, and I'm so excited about it. I think that this was the one that got me the most excited when I saw the collection. So I'm really excited that I don't really have anything to compare to, you know, in my collection. This is Hadley. And I believe Zoya describes this one as a smoky blue cream. And so you know, like I said, I thought I had stuff that was super close, but I don't. All the other colors, all the other dark blues that I have are a lot more blue, and this has, oh man, is it like a green? I'm gonna have to wait till I get this on my nail to try and figure out. It's dark, but I can't figure out if it's leaning, like what's making it not so, maybe if I can put it up against something. So the only things I had that I could compare to that were, you know, blue and dark blue is, this is Zoya's Sailor. And obviously, you know, looking at this almost looks black up against Sailor. And so I can't tell, I mean, it does like almost have like a greenish kind of like tint to it. So yeah, definitely not a blue when it comes to, you know, these dark blues. So the only other thing I thought to compare to that some people might have is from the recent OPI release for fall. This is Less's Norse. And again, definitely not super blue, and almost like, I feel like it's got a little bit of green, like it's almost like a tealy kind of like dark blue, if that makes any freaking sense. So yeah, I think it's got a little bit of green in it that's kind of making it, you know, not super blue, but you can definitely, when you look at it in the bottle, you can tell, you know, you would say that's blue. It definitely doesn't look black. So yeah, maybe it's just like a slight little like greenness to it. So I'm really excited about this color. I can't wait to try that. And then the last color to show you is Elaine. No, I'm sorry. Yes, Elaine. And they describe Elaine as a Umber Brown. And again, I'm not, you know, I'm not super amazed, you know, I'm not super familiar with, you know, these color comparison colors. So Umber, I'm not super, you know, familiar with what that would be, but to me this looks like just a very cool brown. And so the closest thing that I had, and this is more of a warmer brown, so this might help kind of, and oh, they're so close. This is Zoya's Nina. And Nina is basically, it's a brown, but when you get it on the nail, it looks pretty much black. So I don't wear this super often. I had gotten this, I remember Zoya like a bazillion, this is one of my first couple of Zoyas that I got. And I was so excited because Zoya had posted an Instagram post and it was like National Coffee Day or something. And so they had done a, kind of like a gradient manicure where they had started with like a white kind of, like creamy nude and then worked their way down the browns, and then they had just like a super like espresso kind of brown on the pinky, and it looks so pretty, and I really wanted to replicate that, so I went and got like a whole bunch of browns, and I saw this and it's just so dark. It's too dark. It's just, it doesn't look brown on the nail, it looks black. So I don't know why I told you that story, that doesn't really have anything to do, but anywho, so yeah, this looks you know, a lot cooler, definitely not super warm, and it almost, like, comparing it up, it definitely almost has like a black, it's like a blackish brown when you're looking at it against, Nina, because I mean, as I said, Nina is basically black on the nail. You can't, unless you're getting in like direct sunlight, you can see that it's kind of brown. So to say that this is like, you know, a lot darker than Nina says a lot, so it's almost kind of like that blackish brown color that you get in like mascaras and stuff, to where, you know, it's just like, it's kind of a good in-between color. So I am excited to try that. I don't wear a whole lot of like blacky dark colors like this, so we'll try that out and see how that works out. And that is it. So thank you again for watching. I appreciate you stopping by. Let me know, again, if you have any comparisons, or if you need me to, like I said, compare these with other colors that, you know, I might have, or if you're still debating on whether or not to buy one of these and you need some, you know, kind of guidance as far as, you know, color descriptions and whatnot, I'd be happy to help you. Overall, I think this collection looks, to me, I think this looks like a great collection. I can't wait to wear them all. I think I'm just not as ready for fall as I had hoped. Like I said, I wore Beth and I just wasn't feeling it. And then I think the next day I put on this neon red color that I was like, you know, blown away with. So I think I'm gonna get a couple more weeks out of summer nails. I don't think I'm quite ready to give up my bright colors as of yet. So yeah, maybe a few more weeks and I will start wearing these. I do nails of the day. If you're interested in following me on Instagram, if you want to see pictures, I will leave that down in the description below. So again, thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day. Bye.